welcome back to the show, everyone. We had a busy week in the NFL, a lot of injuries, some good games. We had some sad news today. Gale Sayers, one of the greatest Bears to ever play the game, unfortunately passed away at the age of 77. I was fortunate enough to meet Gale. I'm not going to go into complete details on how he was, but I do have an autograph of him somewhere. So hard to believe at 77 years old he's gone, and I guess his health was failing going later into his life. It seemed like he probably had Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something like that. That was probably the cause. Didn't really, I'm watching old highlights of him to see how he ran, and it was like the first guy to really run kind of like how Walter Payton ran, kind of downhill at people and really evasive. But Jimmy, what are your thoughts on the great Gale Sayers?
Yeah, same kind of thing like you said. It was, way before our time, so it's just kind of seeing old highlights and things like that. But he was one of the first like power backs, just outrunning everybody. And then nowadays, if he would have had the technology nowadays to deal with that knee injury, he probably would have been able to come back. But back in 1965 or whatever, it just wasn't available. So I know we kind of talked about. I know they said from time to time he seemed to be a little um, ornery, I guess, when looking at players nowadays. One, based on the money they made, and two, like I said, all the injuries that we had, ACLs, they'll be back in a year. With him, it was pretty much a career ender. So
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, he had the injury the one year, came back and played, and then he injured the other knee. So it was really the second knee injury that kind of killed him. The first knee injury, he actually got through and played again, but that second one was the killer. So sad day for the Bears. It's our team. I'm wearing Broncos tonight, but whatever. So let's get to this week, though, or this past week, week 2 in the NFL. And the theme is injuries, 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 and more injuries. There were so many injuries, we can't keep track of all of them. It's a nasty bug that is going around the NFL right now, and it's not the coronavirus, so it's the injury bug. So let's see. Let's walk through who we had. We had Nick Bosa, torn ACL, done for the year. Solomon Thomas, torn ACL, done for the year. Saquon Barkley, torn ACL, done for the year. We had Jimmy G with a high ankle sprain. He's out for a few weeks. We had the weirdest injury of the weekend, goes to none other than Tyrod Taylor for the Chargers. Jimmy, you want to tell him what happened to him?
yeah, so basically, he had a rib injury that they were kind of monitoring. So the team doctor, mind you, was giving him a like a painkiller shot and accidentally punctured his lung.
Oh,
So I'm sure he's going to be seeing some type of lawsuit on that because now the doctors are saying not to go back indefinitely. So
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna, it's not gonna stop his career, but I mean, Tyrod is just always running into bad luck, and then it didn't help that Justin Herbert had a pretty good game. So
Yeah, and what kills me is, Justin Herbert had a great game. He had 300 yards passing, he had 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown. So that's pretty good for a spot start. That's the future right there, if you ask me. But Justin Herbert's in a weird spot because Anthony Lynn is still saying they're riding with Tyrod Taylor when he comes back. So, it's tough. He knows he's a rookie. He knows he's got to pay his dues. But it's kind of hard when you go out and have a performance like that, and then you're told, hey, by the way, as soon as this guy's healthy, you're back to the bench. So I wouldn't want to be in his position right now because he's got to deal with both sides of it and hoping his teammate's okay and also hoping that he's not okay so he can play. But, it is what it is. Who else got injured here? Oh, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, injured, gone for 4 to 6 weeks. Cortland Sutton, tore ACL, out for the year. Drew Lock sprained AC joint in his throwing arm, so that's bad. I think they should have maybe, as much as we were harping on, they should not have maybe had a preseason. It really seems like maybe they should have this year because all these injuries may have worked themselves out prior to this.
yeah, I seen a lot of people talking about that. I don't know, like if it was soft tissue, hamstrings, things like that, I could see you say they're not ready, but a torn ACL, there's not a you can't really practice, get your body right for that. So, I think it's just one of those weird fluke kind of injuries. But yeah, definitely any of the soft tissue, I can see that being an issue because we have like that Fantasy Life app, and it's just blowing up all the time with people not practicing. Everyone's pretty much walking wounded right now to some extent.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. A lot of teams with injuries. and it's just that I have a bad feeling that this is just going to keep stacking up. So let's move on there. So the Bears are now 2-0. Another ugly win. It seemed like they had the game in hand, up 17-0, and they just took their foot off the gas and let the Giants kind of crawl back. And if it hadn't been for a Golden Tate pass interference at the last play of the game, they probably would have won. The Giants probably would have won that game on the last second play. So where do we stand as the Bears, as fans, and as where does the team stand as far as what they need to do to get better? Jimmy, I'll let you go first as far as where what the fans are thinking right now, if you have a pulse on that.
Yeah, man, I think you're 2-0, so you're happy about that. You can only beat the teams that you have on your schedule. But I mean, anybody that is feeling really good about being a 2-0 is either, just completely out of it or didn't watch the games. Because like you said, the Detroit game, that was a loss until he dropped the pass in the end zone. The Giants came back. Once again, like you said, we took our foot off the pedal for whatever reason. So they could easily won that game. So we could have been looking at 0-2. I know, sometimes that's the way the ball bounces, kind of cliche-wise. So, I mean, it's good. You gotta beat what you can, but unless they start cleaning up, I mean, we have Atlanta coming up, then you have Colts, and then you have Tampa Bay. So if you don't start cleaning it up, doing something, you get a big stay on them, then you're not gonna be able to come back on Atlanta or something like that when they can score, 30, 40 points a game. I mean, as far as the team goes, I mean, we kind of talked about it off air. Is Anthony Miller in the doghouse? I mean, he played pretty good against Detroit, and then we looked at the snap count, and he got Mooney was on the field more than he was. So I don't know if that's something going forward. Robinson, I hate to think that the contract is distracting him, but I didn't think he had a very good game. The one interception wasn't the best throw by Mitch, but it was right in his hands, and he just got muscled out of it for a pick. And then we can talk about that Cohen extension. I mean, we talked about maybe trying to get rid of him, trade him for something, and so they give him, 3 years, 18.5 with $9.5 million guaranteed. So I mean, I don't know what they're doing with that extension. I don't know what's going on with Miller and Robinson. It's still early, so there's definitely time to fix everything that needs to get done. But I mean, it's odd to say that Mitch actually isn't the problem right now, I don't think.
Yeah, especially with what we thought going into the year with them picking up Foles. It really looks, I mean, and maybe it is the pieces around him. I mean, Matt Nagy can only do so much with what he's got. And again, the whole Anthony Miller thing kills me because I had him on my fantasy team, and thank God I didn't start him. He had no points. He didn't have one catch. I think he had 2 targets the whole game. And Tariq Cohen, I mean, what are they doing with the money? I mean, Allen Robinson is your wide receiver of now. Like, you need him now. You're in win now mode. If you have him pissed off and not wanting to play because you don't want to pay him, that's not going to be good. Now, do I think Allen Robinson's the kind of guy to take his foot off the gas? No. I think he'll play even without a contract, but it gets to a point where it's going to become a distraction. And what happened to the tight ends? I mean, I don't think Cole Kmet, he had like 1 catch, I think, maybe 2 targets. I mean, Jimmy Graham had like 2 targets and maybe 1 or 2 catches. I mean, it was like the pass game just disappeared. And again, they were playing the Giants, and the Giants aren't a good team. And they lost Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard in the same game. And you can't put your foot on their throat and smash them down. I mean, I have a real bad feeling about this week against Atlanta. I don't see them really coming out on top of that. I think I picked them to win, but it's going to be tough. I mean, Atlanta is going to score a lot of points, and I just don't think the Bears can keep up. All right, let's see what else we got here. Tom Brady won his first game as a Buccaneer. Yay, Jimmy, go crazy for your boy TB12. They won against the Carolina Panthers, so it's not really it's more of a moral victory than it is a real victory. In a game where, and the big question down in Tampa Bay right now is where's Rob Gronkowski? He had 1 target, and it was an interception the whole game. Now, Bruce Arians has been quoted as saying that he came in there to do a job as a tight end. So he goes, we have wide receivers. We don't need him to catch 10 balls a game. So where does that leave Gronk for the rest of the year? is he going to be even an option in the passing game, or are we going to see him as just as a blocking tight end? I mean, even O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate haven't really been getting a whole lot of passes either. So it's not like the tight ends are getting a whole lot around him. It's just no one's getting it other than wide receivers.
Yeah, I thought that was odd. I know we talked, like I said, off air about Gronk and dropping him, trading him, doing whatever. It's just weird that they kind of made a point to go out and get him, and then you're not going to use him to the best of his ability. Like, you don't go get Gronk, you don't get O.J. Howard, even Cameron Brate to be a blocking tight end. You could go get, like the Bears, Demetrius Harris. You can get some guy that has stone hands to be your blocker, and then now you got Gronk. You can put him in the slot. You could do, whatever they did with him in New England. So it just kind of, I don't know if it's more he's still knocking off the rust from being out, and then doing his wrestling career, so he wasn't in football shape or what. But like you said, he's not hitting O.J. Howard, which they didn't last year either, or Cameron Brate. So that whole tight end room just seems to be a black hole down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and Bruce Arians, again, he made a very interesting comment. He thinks the days of Gronk running 30, 40 yards downfield making a catch are over. You're not even giving him the ball at 10 yards out. You're not even giving the ball at 5 yards out. I mean, you're not even giving the guy a chance to make a play. So I really don't know what they're doing down there with him. It's kind of weird. Maybe they'll incorporate him a little bit more in the offense once they kind of get through the rest of the season. But I just don't see it. I'm actually dropping him tonight or tomorrow morning for Hayden Hurst, hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, let's move on to the Monday night game. So Jimmy kicked my butt in fantasy this week. He had Alvin Kamara, who went crazy for 38 points, and I had George Kittle, who had 0 because he didn't play. But the Saints looked like they were going to be, doing pretty good. And then the Raiders said, hold my beer for a minute. I'm going to come back in here and do some damage. Derek Carr led them with a good few drives and had some good passes. And it really proved that the Saints can't do a whole lot without their number one receiver, Michael Thomas. Is this panic mode for the Saints right now, Jimmy? Is Drew Brees really, showing his age? Are the old men in the league really that old now?
Yeah, I mean, so you can cue the hot take alert. I think Brees is done at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he willed himself to that 300-yard game, and thank you, it helped me hit a bet. But yeah, I mean, the arm is dead. Everyone kind of killing Michael Thomas for only running slants. Maybe he only runs slants because that's all Brees can throw anymore. Because, like you said, without his number one receiver, it was nothing. It was like the old Walter Payton, Matt Forte. Kamara up the middle, Kamara up the left, throw to him, punt. That's all they were doing. I don't think, and that their defense is good. So I don't know if I really have a hard time believing the Raiders are legit, even though Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs are absolute monsters. But I mean, they put a whooping on that vaunted Saints defense that did pretty good against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. So
yeah, and watching Drew Brees throw, it looked like he had a dead arm. I mean, it really does. It doesn't look like the ball has the zip on it like it used to. I mean, even last year, it looked better than it does now. So I don't know. Maybe it's Taysom Hill time in New Orleans. That's my boy.
Famous Jameis.
Famous Jameis, yeah. Well, he's crab legs. He can get all the crab legs he wanted on Bourbon Street. The Jacksonville Jaguars are proving to be a very, very tough out in the NFL right now. They're 1-1. They were getting their butts absolutely handed to them by the Tennessee Titans until later in the game when Gardner Minshew just said, "Hold on, I'm gonna stroke my mustache, and we're gonna win. We're almost win this thing." They came down to a final. Tennessee won on a final last minute field goal. So where does that leave the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are supposed to be this awful team with no one on it anymore? And they're proving the NFL wrong. And I have them picked to win against Miami this week because I just think they're going to come out and shellac them. What do you think about Jacksonville this year so far, Jimmy?
Yeah, like we said before, like they were supposed to be tanking for Trevor, tanking for Justin Fields, whoever they like. I don't think they can do it anymore. I think Gardner Minshew is just too good. I mean, he's not going to be an MVP, but I mean, he's had 2 pretty good games versus 2 pretty good defenses. So I wonder if they're somehow they do end up top 3. I wonder if they try and build around Gardner Minshew. I mean, we talked about it. His contract is only $900,000. That's pretty much what Seattle did around Russell Wilson. You got that cheap rookie deal, build all around him, get in win mode now. I mean, their starting running back is an undrafted free agent from Illinois State. So I mean, if they can, and unfortunately, I would say if they hit free agency, but it's the Jags, they hit free agency every year, and then those guys are not on the team in 3 years. But yeah, I mean, Gardner so far, I mean, I've been really impressed with him. He's not really turning the ball over. He's efficient, and they seem to be rallying around him as a team.
Yeah, he's a hell of a leader. I mean, when he comes in, he just has that swagger about him. You know, he's not. I don't want to say cocky, but he knows he can play, and he's not afraid to do it. Like he has no fear in him at all. I mean, I think he'd be better. You know, pretty good suit wrestling a bear at this point because I think he'd go in there and think I'm going to kick that bear's butt. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be a tough out. I really think they're going to really prove some people wrong this year, and it's going to be probably unfortunate for them because they're not going to have any high draft picks. But all right, let's move on to the battle for Ohio. We saw Baker Mayfield go against Joe Burrow, battle of number one picks. Joe Burrow got me my pick on there with my sleeper pick with 300 plus yards passing, which I didn't know what he was going to do. no protesting the sleeper pick. I had no idea he could have gone out and thrown 100 yards. I don't know. So the battle for Ohio happened, and Baker Mayfield didn't look terrible. He had a couple good deep balls, one to OBJ for a touchdown. Joe Burrow, though, I'm telling you what right now, boys and girls, that guy can play. He is legit a good football player. If they can build around him, they're going to have one hell of a team to deal with in the next couple of years. I don't think they're going to win the division this year. I think they may be bottom shelf, but that leaves them with some high picks, though, so they can pick up someone to go around him, maybe a good offensive lineman or another wide receiver to replace the aging A.J. Green. What do you think about the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Browns this past week?
Yeah, I think Baker kind of, I mean, like I said, he had a pretty good game. It's weird because him and Joe Burrow, they're pretty similar in their stories, where Baker was a walk-on and then went to Oklahoma, then won the Heisman and was the number one pick. Burrow 2 years ago his draft stock was sixth or seventh round, and he transfers from Ohio State because he couldn't beat out Haskins or Fields, so he goes to LSU and wins the Heisman, has possibly the greatest season of all time by a college quarterback. And I don't quite understand how that can happen, honestly. Like, you go, this guy, you know, maybe borderline practice squad, and he gets in an offense with somebody else, and they, I guess, just turn him loose. And then now he's, like you said, he's the real deal. I mean, he's running, he's commanding the huddle. I mean, if they don't get an O line, he's going to be dead in 5 years. So that's what I think. I agree. They're probably going to be bottom in the AFC North, but that should get them top 3, top 5 pick. So yeah, I mean, there's some good players coming out. So it would have to be O line or another playmaker for him. But yeah, I mean, him and Joe Mixon, they got some good building blocks.
Yeah, and like you said, if they don't get an offensive line to protect him, he's not going to make it 5 years, which, you know, that's the shame of it. Is as good as he is, if they don't have anyone to protect him, you know, from all fronts, it's not going to last. He's just going to get hit and hit and hit and hit. And he's a mobile quarterback, but you can't make your life on that. I mean, look what happened to Cam Newton. Look what's happened to, you know, Michael Vick in his age when he played. Lamar Jackson seems to be doing it right now, but again, he's not had the big hits. If he gets one couple big hits, he ain't gonna be running anymore. He's either gonna have a knee blown out or have a shoulder hit or have a concussion. So ideally, Joe Burrow has a great career. He moves on. I think he is probably going to be your offensive rookie of the year this year. Based on that game, I mean, I can't imagine anyone else having a better game than him. CEH had a really down week this week for Kansas City, so it could very well be the Joe Burrow show going forward for the rookie of the year, which wouldn't surprise me. A lot of times it goes to a quarterback anyway. Let's see. What else do we have here? So we discussed Justin Herbert coming in with the rib problem for Tyrod Taylor. Again, weird situation there. Hope it doesn't continue. Hopefully Tyrod can come back in, but if he can't, Justin Herbert looks like he's got really good control of that offense. So we'll see where we go there. All right, let's go to our predictions for this week. So let's recap week 2. Ben was 3-1 with the only pick he missed was New England not covering the spread at +4. They lost by 5 points. I was not happy about that. but I did take 5 points in the win this week. Two for the games and 3 for the sleeper. Jimmy went 2-2. He did not hit his sleeper, which was what again, Jimmy?
Thanks a lot, Mitch.
That's right.
What was that, Mitch, for 300 yards?
Mitch for 300, and I think he finished with just a little over 2. So a little short, but again, the pass game disappeared as quickly as it came. So that doesn't surprise me. I'd be very hard-pressed to go with Mitch ever. So, all right, let's go to our picks this week. So we're going to go same style again. 1 point for our picks and 2 points or 3 points for the sleeper. We're just going to go down the line here, game by game. So starting with Miami versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville is -2.5. I am rolling with Jacksonville this week. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and then I changed it. I think Miami's going to go. There's some injuries on Jacksonville's side. Miami has some as well. But I believe in Fitzmagic. I think they can, if not win, I think they can at least not lose. If that makes sense. Lose by 1, and I'll be fine.
If they win or not lose, isn't that the same thing? All right, let's go with Houston versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is -4. I'm going with Pitt. I think they're going to roll Houston this week.
Yeah, I agree. That Houston O-line is pretty worked, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop T.J. Watt and everybody.
All right, we got Tennessee versus Minnesota. Tennessee is -2, 2.5. I'm going to roll with Tennessee this week.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Tennessee. That's going to be one of my picks this week. Minnesota just looks horrible. I don't know. Some people had them as a preseason favorite for the NFC North. Kirk Cousins just looks horrible. The defense looks horrible. Everything's horrible.
Cue the Kirk Cousins. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, right.
Chicago versus Atlanta. Atlanta is -3.5. It kills me. I thought I picked Chicago. I went with Atlanta. I hate picking against my team, but Atlanta, they're dropping points like crazy right now. They are chucking the ball all over the place, and I just don't think the Bears can keep up with them if they don't take an early lead and have the defense stop them.
Yeah, I originally had Atlanta, same kind of thing, but I'm actually switching my pick to Chicago. Atlanta's dealing with some injuries, and they said maybe even Julio might be out. So I think that would probably, if he's out, then Calvin Ridley will be kind of blanketed by Fuller, and they got some O-line issues, so maybe Mac has a big game.
All right, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus New England. New England is -6. This is my pick, one of my picks for the week. I am taking the Raiders +6. After the performance they put on against the Saints, I would not be surprised if they win outright on this game.
Oh, I'm going New England. I think Cam maybe a smidge more mobile than Drew Brees. So I think they're not going to be able to keep up with them, and New England still has that tough defense.
San Francisco versus the Giants. Even with this is like the injury game. Seriously, both teams are just ravaged by injuries right now. I'm gonna roll with San Francisco and Nick Mullins. -4.5 is the line right now. So I'm rolling with San Francisco.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if they didn't have a quarterback. The Jets are just a dumpster fire.
Yeah. All right. The Giants, not the Jets. The Giants.
The Giants.
So we
the
have
Jets too.
The Jets are they're both New York teams are dumpster fires. It's just one big dumpster up in New York right now. The next game is Cincinnati versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a -6.5 point favorite. This is one of my picks. I am rolling with Cincinnati at 6.5 points. Pretty hard to pass up on 6.5 points. So I'm rolling with them. I'm hoping they win.
Yeah, I'm going Cincinnati also. That Philly defense is just, I mean, they're dealing with injuries left and right too. And maybe we see another good game from Burrow.
Next, we have Washington versus Cleveland. Cleveland is -7. I'm rolling with Cleveland on this one. I don't know if Washington's going to be able to keep up.
I'm going to take Washington. That D line, I think, is going to cause some problems for Baker, maybe even Chubb. And then 7, I think they can kind of keep it close.
Okay. We have the Rams versus Buffalo. Buffalo is -2.5. I'm rolling with Buffalo on this. I think Josh Allen and his wide receivers are going to just put on a show again.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo. I mean, this has been a Josh Allen podcast since last year, so kind of hard to go against our guy.
We have the Jets versus Indy. The Jets are +10.5, and I am making that my super hot pick this week. How can you not take a team at 10.5 points? I know it's the Jets. But Indianapolis isn't going to drop a whole lot of points either, especially with Phillip Rivers chucking the ball to the Jets every fifth down. So I'm going with the Jets plus 10.5 is my hot pick.
So I'm crazy. I'm gonna go Indy. I don't think the Jets can be able to stop whatever offense Indy throws out there, and probably look for Jonathan Taylor to have a pretty good game.
All right, we have the Carolina Panthers versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are -7. I'm rolling with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. I think they're going to blow them up.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, Carolina's offense is all predicated on Christian McCaffrey, and he's out. So I can't imagine they're going to turn to Teddy Bridgewater and ask him to throw for 450 and 4 touchdowns.
No, and it won't happen either way. Detroit versus Arizona. Arizona's -5.5. I'm rolling with Arizona. I think they have a really good shot at doing some damage this year, and I think they're going to do a lot of damage against Detroit.
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona as well, -5.5. That's my second pick. Like you said, I mean, Detroit's been – even the Bears kind of beat them up until, when they came back. But Kyler Murray, Hopkins, I mean, even Kenyon Drake might do some damage to him this week.
Dallas versus Seattle. Seattle's coming in as a -4.5. I'm rolling with Dallas. I like their grit. I think the win they pulled off against Atlanta this week, winning in the last second, and basically Dak putting that team on his back and saying, "Let's go, boys! I'm going to win this for us." So I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas shocks them and beats them.
I'm going to go Seattle. I just think that offense is a little too high-powered for Dallas, and look for our guy DK to get another touchdown this week.
DK train's going to be rolling through town, you think? All right. Tampa Bay versus Denver. Tampa Bay's -6. I don't think Denver stands a chance without their, starting quarterback. They just signed Blake Bortles, for gosh sake. So who knows what's going to happen up there. So I'm rolling with Tampa.
Yeah, this is my third and final pick, Tampa Bay -6. As soon as the Drew Lock news hit, I ran to the betting window to throw whatever I could on Tampa Bay. I just don't think, like you said, what is it, Jeff Driscoll, right? He's the starter now?
I believe so, yeah.
He's not going to do anything. Cortland Sutton's hurt. I just don't think it's going to be a very good game for Denver at all.
We have Green Bay versus New Orleans. New Orleans is -3.5. I'm going to have a real tough time picking against Green Bay at all this year. I really think Aaron Rodgers is just going to burn the world, and I wouldn't want to be the team going to play him right now.
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay as well. I mean, we just talked about, Drew Brees being out there with a dead arm. I mean, he's thrown probably, 50 or 60,000 yards. I just think, it's dead. I mean, back to the New Orleans real quick. I just wonder if they're going to make a move before the end of the season. It's hard to move on from an icon, but.
Yeah, I think that all depends on where they're at. If they have, if Tampa Bay's got their foot on the gas and they can't catch up to them, I could very well see them just saying, all right, Drew, just go relax. We'll throw Jameis in here. We'll have Taysom run some plays and, have a quarterback battle and see who's going to take over for you next year, which would be a shame if that's how his career ends. But so what happens in the NFL, a lot of times these guys get to be an age where they're no longer useful and they just get kind of thrown by the wayside for the younger guy. So we'll see what happens. Kansas City versus Baltimore. Baltimore's coming in as a 3.5-point favorite. I'm rolling with Baltimore. I mean, this is going to be a good game. I think this is a good Monday night game. So it's going to be a good slobber knocker of a game, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit the over, which is probably in the 40s or 50s right now, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kansas City. I think they kind of overlooked Chargers last week. That's who they played, right? Chargers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they kind of overlooked them, maybe looking towards this game. I mean, it's two really good offenses, two really good defenses. Probably easily going to be the game of the year so far. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. This is hands down. I mean, after the Kansas City Chiefs won last year and Baltimore came up just short going to the Super Bowl, I think as soon as they made the schedule, they knew this is going to be the game to watch this year, 100%. I can't imagine. Maybe if the Green Bay Packers at the end of the year are undefeated or have like one loss or two losses because they've just rolled through everyone and they're playing, whoever in the NFC Championship game, that might be the next one. But, yeah, this is going to be game of the year right now.
All right. Well, two losses because they lose to the Bears. But
yeah. Well, yeah. That's well, God, when that game comes around, I may have to just blank it out and act like it's not happening because it's just gonna be awful. All right, sleeper pick. I am rolling with Gardner Minshew mania. 250 yards passing and 2 touchdowns tomorrow against Miami.
So this is going to be the stash versus the beard. I'm going Fitzmagic. I'm also going 250 and 2 tutters. So this will be the Thursday night game, so we get to see, I guess, who comes out on top.
That's a spicy pick. All right.
Right?
Yeah. All right. So we did the fantasy football challenge, one against each other. Jimmy beat me last week 137 to 122. Again, I had no tight end playing because I picked George Kittle before I knew he was hurt. So that was my bad. This week, we're going to go through again and give you guys who we're picking. And now, by all means, use this in your daily fantasy or in your fantasy football, whatever you want to do. Obviously, we're using all the best players. So, it's kind of bad. There's only, 2 guys playing against each other. So ignore the fact that we have all number 1 wide receivers and all number 1 running backs and all number 1 tight ends. It's not going to happen in your fantasy football league, but it can in daily fantasy. All right, so I'm going to run through my team real quick, and Jimmy's going to run through his, and then we're going to go from there. All right, I'm going to roll with Josh Allen this week. I think he's poised to have a big week. Zeke Elliott had a good week last week. I think he's going to continue that. Leonard Fournette had a good week last week. I wouldn't be surprised if he has another good week this week. Hollywood Brown for Baltimore. Again, I picked Baltimore to win, so I think Lamar Jackson's going to be hitting him quite a bit. Mike Evans in Tampa Bay is going to have another good week. Tyler Higbee had one of the best weeks as a tight end last week. Him and Gesicki had like crazy amount of yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns each. It was definitely a Tyler Higbee show in Los Angeles last week. I'm flexing Alvin Kamara because I think he's going to have another good week. Taking Harrison Butker as my kicker and the Indy defense to take on whoever they're taking on this week. Cincinnati, I think.
They're the Jets, aren't they? 10.5 favorites.
Are they Jets?
Yeah, they're 10.5 favorites.
Oh, you're right.
Right,
yeah.
So quarterback, I'm going to go Kyler Murray. People were talking about dark horse MVP before the season. I don't think it's dark horse anymore. I think he's definitely entrenched himself in the conversation. Running back Aaron Jones had a monster game last week, so it kind of shut down Rodgers a little bit. Austin Eckler is still number 1, especially with the PPR. I think, especially with Herbert, he's going to be kind of checking down to him a lot. Wideouts, I have Nuke in Arizona. I think he's just on an absolute tear. We haven't seen in a while. Calvin Ridley, I know we just talked about maybe Julio being out, but Calvin Ridley's been a monster so far this year. Tight end, I'm kind of going back and forth, but I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. Also had a really good week last week. My flex is Derrick Henry. It's always nice to have him on there. Kicker, we got a kicker battle. I'm going Justin Tucker, the GOAT. And then defense, I'm going Tampa Bay.
All right, so we'll see who comes out on top from that. Is there anything else you want to discuss? Is there anything we missed this week? I can't remember if there's something we're going to talk about that I may have just glossed over. You got anything for us, Jimmy?
No, I don't think so. I think we hit everybody, discussed whatever the hell the Bears are doing.
All right, well, that's it for us this week, guys. Have a good week. Go Bears. Like and subscribe to our channel. Click the link that's in the video here in a few minutes, or a few seconds, I should say. We're on Facebook at BJ's Fantasy Corner. We're also on Twitter at BJ's Fantasy Corner. So find us on your phone and like us and tweet us and choose a question if you want us to ask it on the air, and maybe we'll mention your name. We're always looking for guests, so if you want to join in one night, we got Zoom ready for you. But other than that, have a great night and go Bears.